in just a moment. So I just want to say, we want to say thank you so much for coming this morning. I hope everyone had a great long weekend and feels well rested. We do have Rochelle Reea with us today to teach us the Alexander technique. So we're really excited to learn about that. I'm sure you guys have read a little bit about it, and if you haven't, you're going to learn a lot today. So I just want to take a quick moment and introduce Rochelle and read her bio. So Rochelle Reea is a certified Alexander technique teacher with a focus on movement disorders and loves how the technique can change people's lives by educating them on how to reduce or avoid pain and overcome existing back and other neuromuscular issues. Rochelle received her 3-year intensive certification in Alexander technique from the Graduate Urbana School for the Alexander Technique, Urbana, Illinois, and attended University of Arizona and Temple University with a dance major. She holds additional certification as a certified ergonomics specialist. So would everybody please welcome Rochelle this morning. Good morning, Rochelle. Thank you for coming. And I'm going to turn it over to you if you'd like to share with us a quick overview, maybe a 1 minute on how you got involved in Alexander technique.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do I have to do something?
Go ahead, Rochelle. Yep.
I'm not a very technological person, so I joined some of you in that. Again, my name's Rochelle Reea, and I got into the Alexander technique through the dance department at Temple University because I grew up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and yes, I see some faces here that maybe they came from there. And so I was a dance major there, and there was a teacher of the Alexander technique in that university. The technique is for all performing arts schools throughout the earth, really. It is their first choice for performing arts departments. So I took lessons in the basement of Temple University. And I said, well, I'm going to New York City and I'm going to go find out more about the technique. So I was taking the train down to New York City. And then the person I was working with down there said, you need to go see the Murrays. Now, Joan and Alex Murray are the most famous Alexander teachers in our country and the world. And I have to tell you a story about it because it's connected to my work. Now, the Alexander technique is a postural movement education process. Now, my teachers are now back in England because they lived here for most of their time in the training course. They are my training course teachers. They are now 92 years old. They still teach the Alexander technique. They use Zoom. And they go into all the European countries, and because they're so famous about how they are. They're 92 years old and they're still working. They love what they do. And she fell down the steps once, and she was able to organize her body after they ruined her legs. And she's still teaching with Joan and Alex Murray. They are now in England, and they're still working. Isn't that a wonderful story? We don't have to degenerate as we age, really. So I'm going to start us all with, I'm going to start from the beginning. And what do I mean by that? I mean that the Alexander technique is based on human child development. We have a perfect body as we're developing on the floor up to uprightness, unless there were some conditions in the baby's development that would inhibit that. And blind children, they have very poor coordination because they weren't able to use their eyes to develop. So I'm going to show you some pictures on a poster board about how we develop up to uprightness, because that system is still in our bodies. Now, you have the movement dysfunction, most of you here, and so that interferes with that perfect use of the body. And I'm going to be demonstrating on the floor a little bit. Hopefully you'll see me. and I will carry on from there. The Alexander technique was developed by a man called Frederick Matthias Alexander. He was an actor, Shakespearean actor, and he would lose his voice midway through performing. And so he was determined to continue with his career, and it took him several years to get his voice back. Because the moment he thought of speaking, he would go into a pattern. The head's locking back on the neck is tight and has a lot of tension, and he was arching his back. He didn't know he did that until he started to experiment with mirrors. So what we think that we look like, and you look in the mirror, it's very different. So so he started his process, and then I'm not going to tell you his whole process. There's several books on it you can watch, but he noticed that somebody in his past, a famous actor, said, "Boy, you have bad walking. I think you should grip the floor with your feet, and then you'll be better." He said, "I don't know, that doesn't sound right, but he's famous, so I'm going to do it." So years later, he's developing his work, the Alexander technique. And the moment he thought of speaking, not did he only do this, because he was able to free his neck of all tension. Right now, I want you all you on the stream, is your neck tight right now? Can you free the tension up on your neck? Because then your head's going to fall into a different position. And then he was watching this through the mirrors, because he said, "This feels right." And then he noticed, and then when he saw it in the mirror, he said, "Oh, that doesn't look what I feel like and what I look like." So we're looking at habit patterns that have been ingrained in your body from a long time ago, up through, even through your Parkinson's. And now you have developed different habit patterns because you have the ability to fall easily now. You have the ability to not be able to shake, have a glass of water. These kind of things have interfered with your proper functioning sometimes. Now, Alexander, the very last straw was the moment he went to speak Shakespeare, that moment of movement, the moment you lift your arm, the moment you take a step, he was using his body wrong. He said, "Gosh, my feet were gripping the floor," because it was habitual. He was taught to do that, a wrong thing. And so he said to himself, "Well, I'm giving you some of the principles of the technique right now." I took myself off the baby stuff. And he said, "I'm going to free my neck with all tension. That allows my head to release off the C1 atlas, very important joint. It operates all your movements of the body, the C1 atlas. I'll talk about that in a little bit." And then he said, "I'm going to let my back be free of tension as well. And I'm going to get my head out of this position." So he solved this problem. And then he went on to develop schools throughout the world and train people for 3 years. He wanted to do 5 years, but they talked him out of it. And we did 3-year training. So that's where I'm at now. And so let's look at some baby pictures and you'll see what I mean. Can you see that? Is your screen bigger than what I'm seeing?
Yeah, no, we have you on speaker view, so we have it blown up so we can see it. So you can point to the picture and I'll help guide you. How about that?
Okay, so all animals with a backbone lead with their head. As you can see that animal, and so the spine can lengthen. The head's leading, the head's leading. And these birds, they don't go straight up like helicopters. Their heads go out and then the neck follows and the head and the spine lengthens. So they're using that, what we call the head, neck, and back relationship. Head, neck, and back relationship. It happens all at once when you're doing any movement. Now, as we go down to the babies, this 4 months, they are going to be unwinding. They've done some work on the floor already. Spiral movements using these sheaths of muscle that when you reach for something in the car, they engage. Those sheaths of muscles are very important. And Dr. Raymond Dark had brought them out during that time. And it's your spring mechanism. So if you would reach behind your car to reach for something, those are the muscles that come from this. They're attached to the hip joints and they go all the way up to the back of the neck, behind the ear. They are very important. So here, the baby's starting to develop. It lifts up its head, and you can see it's called antagonistic action. Up through the front and down through the back. Up, and the head's lifted up right off that C1 atlas. Up through the front, down through the back. And that's the only way that we can mobilize ourselves when we're babies. Our head, we want to see something, we want to go for it, and we start to do cross-pattern movements across the floor. You with me?
Yes.
Okay, 9 months old. She wants to get up out of the floor now. Okay. They use their hip joints to lever themselves up to this beautiful, beautiful posturing. This is my teacher back here, if you can see her. This was way back in 1981. That's when I trained. And she's working with somebody with polio. That was in my 3-year training course. So we lean forward from the head and we use the hip joints to work. I'll be talking more about that and showing you. So that you have the ability to understand that how you come up from a chair.
Great.
Finally, they pull themselves, just like they pulled on the floor, they pull themselves into that antagonistic action. Now she has her head on properly and she has the whole length of her spine. And then she's going to be traveling at that point. And up here, bending easily over a table. Look at the poise of this little boy carrying a chair. That is our divine inheritance. As far as and then we got screwed up along the way. And that's what causes all our pain.
Wow. I
work with so many people in different conditions. It's always because they misuse the neck, head, and back relationship. We have habitual movement patterns at this point, and we have to break them. Now, so you got from here to here, then when the Parkinson set in, then you have developed an additional habits on the top of the old ones. Everyone I've ever worked with, unless they had a car accident, they misused their bodies along the way. It might be from your occupation. You might have had an injury that you didn't, that you're still limping and favoring that side without even knowing it. And so now we're working with the Parkinson's. Now, this is about, oh, I love to just show these pictures. This is a Nubian's tribe man, and look at his natural inheritance. He has it kept there. He has his head propped up on the spine. The shoulders are open. And then you have Baryshnikov. Yes, he has strong monster muscles. He has direction of movement. He's up. And I brought this close up, and he was not tightening his neck. He was using his muscles to get up off the floor that high. And then I compare this to this. You must see a big difference. Look at that football player. I know he's a good player because a little young friend said, oh, but he's so great. I said, yeah, but this guy's going to throw the ball way better than that other guy because this one's all twisted up and has his neck all tight, and he's going to throw his whole body into it. So this is what I just wanted you to be aware of.
Great. Thank you.
Now, most of you are sitting down, right?
Yes.
Okay, so are you aware of your body right now? Or is it just your ears that are listening? I see some people adjusting their bodies.
Yeah. I'd say probably mostly ears that are listening.
Yeah, mostly ears. Good. So in order for Alexander and for all of us to engage the neck, head, and back, I'm going to give you some verbal cues. You can write them down, or I think you have a handout, Becky, don't you? You can send to these people just
Yes,
to
we
remind
do.
you. So over the course of our lifetime, we develop habits, right? And some of them are helpful, and some of them are actually not helpful. And so the first step we want to do is be able to identify your habit patterns. Now, an Alexander teacher will be there in a normal situation, would be there with their hands on your neck and back and head. So I want you to go to your C1 atlas. That is right at the top here. It's like an upside down triangle. Can you feel that little hole that back in there? I don't want to say hole, little indentation. And there's your neck muscles. That is a C1 atlas. That's where you nod your head when you're looking down to see something. We don't nod our head from here, because you can see I'm all collapsed. Okay, this is the joint, the most important joint in our body. It's an atlas that balances your head and organizes all your movements. Very important. So that's the C1 atlas, and it's very useful at your computer, right? You can Dr. Raymond Dart, you can look him up, and he's brought that out. And my teachers worked with Raymond Dart. He was working at the with children with that had disorders. So the neck is free. So go ahead and if you tighten your neck, go ahead and tighten your neck. Put some tension in your neck. Go ahead, do that. I don't know about you, but it went all the way down to my feet. Now I'm going to let it go. And my C1 atlas is useless. And everybody's head's back like this. Now let it go, your tension. Just let the tension go. Your head will naturally want to fall into that forward and up, like the child. But the adult, it just releases not forward this way, it releases from here to here. And that's where it's free. You have to find that freedom to gain your balance in Parkinson's. If you are tight and tension, and you have tension, you're interfering with your balance mechanism. You're making it worse. And I know, because I work with a lot with Parkinson's. Now, so we have this habit pattern of tightening the moment we do a movement. What if I say to you, I allow my neck to be free of all tension? That's your first verbal cue. That allows the back, like you saw the baby, to lengthen and widen. So that's the antagonistic action of the body. Should I stand further back?
That's good. We can see from the waist up, if that's what you're trying to show us. So that's perfect.
Okay, so up and down, up through the front of the body. You're just thinking it. You're not trying to get there, because that tightens my neck. If I force myself to do something, I've already screwed it up. I need to free my neck of tension, head releases, and then my back can relax. And the rib cage can relax. And the head will fall naturally in place. Now, it's really good to stand next to a mirror so that you can say, well, this position feels like I'm looking down here. Well, no, because you've been carrying your head like here. There's the habit pattern. You've been carrying it here. Now when you go here, it feels wrong. It even changes your eyes and where it's focused. So these are the habit patterns. Now I want you to understand that I can't give you everything and you're not going to be able to understand, but you can do classes over, and get, you have to repeat this kind of information, right? Just like anything good, it doesn't happen overnight. But what I want to get you to do is free that neck up of tension. Now, what if you decided to raise your hands up behind? So everyone stand there and raise your arms up now. Okay, and then bring your arms down. Now, this technique's based on stimulus and response. I gave you a stimulus, but did you think about your neck being free when you lifted your arms up? No, you just lifted your arms up, which brought in habit patterns. The shoulders go up. So this is what's called inhibition. That's what Alexander called it. Inhibiting automatic response. So that you in that moment can make the right choice for your body. And it also goes into psychological areas. So we have the neck free, head's releasing up. My back is lengthening up. Just think it, you don't have to do it. And the moment of movement, I'm going to inhibit my step. I'm not going to step out right away. I'm going to think of releasing my neck and head first. And with that, I can take my step forward. Now, these are the things I'm going to tell you. I'm going to give you something. These are the fancy words. The primary control of the body is the relationship of the neck, head, and back. We just discovered, right? That's called the primary control for Alexander. The primary control, all those three things organized to make a good movement, like the babies. And then I have to inhibit automatic response. The moment I get out of the chair. Can you see me?
We can see you just from like the waist up. Do we need to see your full legs? Yeah, I was gonna say scoot back a little bit. Let's see. That's better. We can see your knees and your body.
Yeah, well, my feet are on the floor, everyone.
Okay.
So if I'm going to get out of a chair and I'm trying to break habit patterns, I'm freeing my neck up, my head's releasing. Maybe I want to put my foot back a little bit because that will help me get up out of the chair. And I'm going to focus on the neck freeing up, and I'm not going to think about the end result. Because the moment you think of the end result, just like you did when you raised your arms, you said, oh, she told me to raise my arms, I'll just do it. But how are you doing? How are you getting from A to B is the most important thing. How are you getting there? Did you free up your body? Because if you do and you get those verbal cues going, you can spring out of a chair much more. How do I get into the chair? I use my hips, but I'm going forward. And I have the release in my torso. I'm not going to get ready to stand up like this. No, you don't have to get up like that. Even if you have Parkinson's or any other dysfunction, we can minimize that. You leave your neck free of tension. And if you want to use your hands, just keep that head leading you out of the chair. It's the biggest part of and heaviest part of our body, and it balances with the hips down below. So the neck is free. Now, if you think about getting out of a chair, I can guarantee you're going to use your habit pattern in order to get there because you've been doing it for years. I want you to stop or inhibit in that moment, any moment. I just raised my arm. I am aware that I just raised my arm and my neck is free. That's a practice. And the C1 Atlas is free. And that's called, so we have the primary control, we have you inhibiting automatic response. How many times a day do we, someone, hey, Joe, can you go get that for me? You know, and you're doing stimulus and response. Even simple things of getting in and out of a chair. It doesn't mean that you don't need bars to get out of a chair or grips or anything like that. It's still, how are you using and organizing the neck, head, and back as you get out of a chair? And you're going to find that, by telling you, I've been doing this since 1981. I trained for 3 years, so 1979, I have helped, it must be it has to be over 1,000 people getting the neck free, head releasing up, back lengthening. Now, so that's, we're looking at the inhibiting and the neck tension and the directions. Now that's, these directions of, I allow my neck to be free, that allows my head to release forward and up, and that allows my back to lengthen and widen. Widen means widening through the shoulder girdle. Now, a lot of people with the Parkinson's, and as we age, we start to go down this way, right? I have a Parkinson's person, so he's way out here. Well, also, he was a dentist, and he didn't know how to use his body correctly. And he explained that to me. You know, they're sticking their heads out from here. And they didn't have that kind of good ergonomic equipment at that day. And so he already had this postural use. So if you have that, it's hard for you to get unstuck at the C1 Atlas, but you can free your neck up of tension. He did it. And then I can take, and then you're going to let your back ease up here as best as you can. It might be that it's just here, but it's better than here, because that's interfering with your walk. That is taking you off balance. The more you can get that C1 Atlas and your head balanced up there, the better your balance is going to be.
And is this, Rochelle, do you mind if I ask you a question? Because
I don't mind.
Okay, the classes, are they, you know, once a week for 3 months, or like, what does that look like overall to try to make some sort of breakthrough? Because, you know, the practice makes perfect. Well, you know.
Alexander said 30 sessions.
Okay, and you do that once a week, or?
We do it as much as we can.
Okay.
Okay, so I have some people in when we had a practice in my office, I work in a doctor's office, and you know, it was before the virus.
Sure.
They would come 3 times a week, or I go to their house and do piano. I work with the musicians, and but so now this is going to be online. And so some of them actually got out of it at 20 lessons. They already felt by 10 sessions, you're going to find something's different. Because I'm working with one person at my office now. He's brave. We wear our masks and all that stuff, and and he's been seeing me for about 20 something sessions now. He comes every other week. Now he's a newscaster, and he can be, you know, you have to watch, you know, how he's working with the microphone. And so Alexander did 30 sessions, and he said basically see you later. But he was the master, you know, and and then you can come back for tune-ups once in a while, because, you know, you might you injured your leg, and so then I could and instead of limping like this with the neck all tight, and, you know, you're favoring your leg, but you're also throwing everything else out the water out the water out of the bath, right? And so because we have to retrain the habit patterns and get rid of the habit patterns. So by watching you, because there's a lot of Alexander teachers doing this, and it has other benefits than hands-on benefits, but I can watch you and diagnose you. What are you doing? And then now that you have a little bit of information too from the class, you'll, you know, we can start right on in, and I'm going to say, well, did you notice that when you went to take your step, you went back into here. Oh. And then coaching you back up as best as we can with that C1 atlas and the back following into that antagonistic action. Now, when you get out of a chair, I mean, we have to sit and stand, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah. And we have to walk, or we're in wheelchairs. Even wheelchair people I work with, how are they wheeling that chair by themselves? Because I like to wheel. I know I used to work with so many conditions. You still need to get that length and ease as best as you can to do it, because it's going to make everything better. It's going to make everything work. And so let's talk about walking because I think we're running out, we're going to be doing a Q&A. And so walking is really important, especially for everybody. How do they walk? Now, you remember on the poster, look at her hips and the way the knee comes away from the body, right here. That's how we're supposed to use our leg out of the body, right here. It needs to, here's her antagonistic action. The leg moves forward, away. Now, let's see it here real well too. You use those hip joints to bend and lift all day long. How is your leg? So if you want, you can stand up with me, and I'll stand back a little further. Tell me when you can see my legs.
We can see from just above the knees up.
Oh, by the way, how I'm lifting the chair is the same way. Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay. Here's my hands. Put your hands in your hips. And bend over a little bit if you can. Now, let your head lift up and let the chest follow. That's coming up through the front, and then the extensors along the spine naturally go down, and that's how we balance against gravity. If you went a little further, I'm going to lift this chair. I'm going to go into this position. I'm going that way with my length to get the length of my spine and the neck free, and then I'm going to let my head lift me up, and I lift through the front of my body. Now, that doesn't make sense to most people, but if you go and talk to all the ergonomics people, which I do, they come up from the back, and that's why they get injuries. Excuse me. They're going down from here. You have a rounded back. Your thighs are doing all the work. The hamstrings are not engaging. They have all the muscle groups in our body. They work together. So when I send my hips back, my hamstrings and my quads are working together. Then I come up by lifting from the head. That's the same thing as the chair. I'm going back with my hips, not with your lower back. You're going back with your hips, but your neck is free, and your knees go forward, away from your hips. This is one of the hardest things for people to understand. It's worth your while to know how. And then the head leads, and the legs will naturally straighten on their own because we have the instinctual movement pattern still operating. I'm going to take a sip of water.
Sure. This is good information. I think we all probably do some wrong things.
Here's a walking step. Can you see my knees?
Yes.
I'm going to leave my back alone, my neck free and easy, and I'm going to move that knee forward, and my heel comes up, right? If your heel will naturally come up unless you tell it to stay down. Then you wouldn't be able to bend your knee, right? Can you see my feet? Can you see my feet?
Yes. If you go back just a little bit, there, now we can see the tops. Yep.
See how I'm lifting my leg? That's the first thing we do when we take a step. We use the ankle, we use the knee, and we use the hip. And the rest of the body's in that poise of the freedom of your neck on top of the spine, and we're staying upright as much as you can without forcing it up. If you force something, what does that do? It tightens everything up from your butt to your feet to your head. I'm going to go off the track here. If you tighten your butt right now and your abs, go ahead, everyone squeeze it. You're going to feel your C1 atlas tighten. You're going to feel your feet tightening. You're going to feel everything tightening. Let it go. You're going to feel everything move upwards. If you tighten your butt when you're walking, you can't get your hips to work. I'm going to have to walk like this. I'm tightening my butt. It's pulling me down just from tightening my butt. It's pulling me down, and my feet are gripping the floor, and I'm trying to walk. Can you see what happens when I come up? I'm going to let it all go. It will spring back because of those spring muscles that wrap all the way around your body, right back into the behind the ears. Did anybody really get that? You can tighten anything in your body, your neck. It's going to go right down to your feet. I let it go. If you're going to go do something, let it go.
Someone was asking, does taping help? You know,
That's
maybe
another technique, and it's not teaching. It's not teaching you how to. It's not going into the nervous system and changing the musculature of bad habits.
Okay.
It's just taping you up, and it's doing something for you. Everyone tells us to do something. This is about you understanding how to use your body and not do so much, but to learn how.
Yeah, that makes sense. Perfect.
Yeah, you can do taping, but you still have you're going to go back to your habit. You're going to go home and comb your hair like this. Oh, but if you're all taped up, you're going to have to figure it out, you know. And often some of these techniques, and I've been around everyone. I worked with the physical therapists. I work with the chiropractors. I work with all these kind of people. Even the physical therapist didn't even know that we spiral in movements around on our body and how that works in our daily life. This is daily life things, and also it's also people who would need to play their instrument or do an athletic running. You know, the technique is geared to your neck, head, and back organization, no matter if you're taped up or not.
Sure. Okay, great. We had some folks who shared a couple of websites with us, so thank you for that. And are there any other, go ahead.
So
no, go ahead, Rochelle.
Say you're at your desk, and I'm going to use the principles of the technique that I just shared. Your neck is free, head's releasing up, back is lengthening. The moment you put your hand on the keyboard, what are you doing with your body? Do you go into this position? Or do you hike up and arch your back? What is it that you're doing? Use the word, I allow my neck to be free. I allow my hands to go onto the keyboard. I allow my hands. That means it's not doing. You're actually taking that, you're inhibiting that habit pattern to go for it. You're going, what Alexander called it, you're going to the end result, not taking care of the means whereby you get there. It's the most important thing. And then we go into habitual use. Because we're focused on, oh, she told me to do this, I got this, I have to do this. But how about what's going on with your body during the day? Then you go, then you get an injury and blah, and all that kind of stuff. So go ahead, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're, go ahead. I wasn't. Go ahead.
Okay. And so the direction of your movement is up. Even when you bend forward, we're aligning ourselves up. Even when we take a little bend, we're still up like the baby. You're always wanting to go forward because that's our natural inheritance. Now, there is some work I can tell you to try, is when, you know, did you ever stand against a wall and then slide down the wall? I don't have a wall right now, but I have lots of walls, but I'm not in the camera view. And so you can stand against the wall. Don't force yourself to get the head back. Just let your body rest where the C1 atlas is on the wall, if you can, and however upright that you can go. And then put your hands in your hip joints. They're down here. They are not up here. The hip joints are not up here. They're down here. And you're going to slide down the wall just like that. And you have to hold your hip joints gently. And then just go as far as you can. Keep your wall here, and then come up from it. That kind of helps you understand that in that moment of walking, my leg's going to go right onto the heel. Your foot, here's your heel. It goes onto your heel and it rolls through. You roll through to push, because the big toe, which you use to push yourself along the floor, and as a baby, it used to push you along the floor. Every part of it is connected to now. You did that motion with the pushing through the ball of the foot. So you do when you're standing and walking. Your neck is free of tension, your head's releasing, and you're walking from the heel, not stepping out on the toe. Now, what happens if you get a stagger? I'm walking along, and all of a sudden I start staggering, right? Now, that tightens up my neck. The stagger tightens up your neck. Free the neck up first of all. Now you're still staggering even though your neck is free. Take a step out, and you probably learned that from the power work that we do too. You break it up. You take it backwards, brain's confused, and then you take your nice walk with the heel to the toe. But when you start doing that, you're creating a new synapse in the brain. You are training yourself to step on your heel and go here. There's a wonderful video from the Poise Project. They're all Alexander Technique teachers. It's called the Poise Project. And this woman, she had such a bad stagger. She walks normal now. She had a lot of Alexander lessons, but it was worth it to her.
Nice.
Yeah.
We do have another question.
Okay.
Do you have clients who use this to develop their Qigong practice or Tai Chi practice?
I used to go in, I did Tai Chi myself, but I used to go into their classes and show people how to do everything that you do, how you organize your body and do it right. So,
Right.
So that's the same with Aikido. Anything you can think of, the yoga, how people do yoga wrong, oh my heavens, and they get injured. We follow the same principles, and it makes it better. Because what happens with the Tai Chi? They're going here. All the weight's in the front of their knees, and later on they get knee problems. We had a famous Tai Chi person that lived around the corner in my training course in Urbana, Illinois. Or if I can remember his name, Al Wong. And he used to come to my teachers to get Alexander work because his knees had problems, and he had other issues because of the way he was using his body in the wrong way over and over and over again for years. So he got arthritis.
Sure.
Supposed to take away arthritis. So
Wow.
it's applied to your daily life. It's applied to running. It's applied to whatever you need. How are you using the neck, head, and back, even in a swimming pool? You want to organize it and yeah. So that's, you know, we have to, because everybody's different in those classes. And if the teachers say, I want you to do something like bend your leg or whatever, everybody's habit kicks in the moment that stimulus was given. They have to learn to change that up and find the real place where to move from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, this is great. We
Then
can all
things are more,
benefit.
then there's the words that come up is there's effortlessness. If you're not struggling to get out of a chair. I have several people who are getting out of chair, you know, and then they knock me, they close their knees up like this, you know, and they get out of a chair. You can change that from the hip joints. You can let that hip unwind, and even if you had a hip operation, everybody's still thinking that they have a bad leg already. But that's over with. Now we have to retrain you how to walk properly from that surgery.
Sure.
Yeah. But it's not a way, oh, you have to do this and put this part here, and you have to put this part here, and you have to put this part here. It's the neck, head, and back, and that's how we grew up from the baby all the way upwards, and it's still working.
Great.
It's still working.
Yeah. Love it.
You still have a C1 atlas there.
Yeah. Just retrain that.
You want to notice what you're doing the moment you put your hands on the keyboard. The moment you're going to get up. Take that half a second. Now, what if an athlete, they only have one, they don't even have that second, right? They're down on their knees, they're getting ready to do a sprint, but they have already trained themselves through the technique to release they understand how the neck, head, and back work together. And they automatically use that. And, you know, so it was because you're doing something good over and over again. Now we've been doing something bad for a long time, over and over again, which is interfering with your functioning.
This is great. And thank you. Monica's been putting lots of information for us in the chat and links. So this is great information. And she also provided, she was just a little quicker on the button there than us, provided the link to your website. Excuse me. So thank you, Monica, for all of that. She's hired. We're gonna.
What?
I said she's hired. We have another question here. Megan is asking, do you work with folks with scoliosis?
Oh yes, oh my, yes. Major. Triple scoliosis. The scoliosis that looks like, you know, the circus people used to have. They are so amazing. And I would measure their, if you have, in the Alexander technique, there's something called table work. It's a must, you know, you're laying on a table, you're wearing your clothes, you're laying on your back. It's called the lie down. I organize the whole body, and then when I get them up, then they're ready to go. So I use that with that situation as well. And so then I have a little mark on the wall when they come in. They're at one point here, and then when they get off at the table, they have grown an inch because I lengthened out the spine and organized it. When you lengthen the spine out, say I'm like this. If I bring my head up, it wants to bring the back over, see? If I bring my big old head up, I'm crooked like this, because that's scoliosis right there. If I get my head going more up in this way, then everything else wants to move into place. And it will do that depending on the severity of the scoliosis. That is one of the main things I started with in Alexander technique when we were practicing in school. She had a major scoliosis. She was a piano tuner, and she was constantly twisting herself into piano, and we had to work on her, but she had a major scoliosis. So yes, I do work with scoliosis. And it's
Nice, very
wonderfully
good.
wonderful. And the pain goes away because they can figure out how to walk differently.
Wow, that's really cool.
It is very cool.
Let's see, someone also put a chat here that says, the complex regional pain syndrome in my right knee and hammer toes in my right foot complicate walking for me. I walk 30 minutes daily. Any ideas?
Say that they have hammer toes?
In the right foot, and then pain syndrome in the right knee. So any ideas for walking? They walk up 30 minutes a day.
I suggest the wall work. So you can stand, so they know how to get their hip out in front of them, and that therefore you're aligning your knee with your hip and your ankle. You want to have those joints lined up. Now, if you take a step out and you're walking from the toes down, my knee wants to twist in to follow the movement. So you want to step out on that heel and let it roll. You don't even have to use your toes. You can go right to the ball of the foot and then begin to lift your leg up to take the next step. But if you use the wall, it'll identify for you how that knee moves forward to take your first step. You're not going to let that knee go in, and it's going to feel wrong to do it right until you put a wall there and you put a mirror next to you and you say, oh, because of the habit pattern. You have to break the habit pattern and make the other and get a new habit pattern.
Nice. So, and you said that folks can contact you via email if they want to get in touch with you, maybe to progress or call. Okay.
Yeah.
I think we'll put your email in the chat to everyone, and then that way, if they want to get in touch with you, they can, and then maybe you can, schedule sessions with them. I'm not sure what your schedule looks like, but that might be an option.
I'm going to do half-hour sessions because at the office, I'm running 50 minutes to an hour, but I do half-hour sessions for certain people that have more extreme situations, and an hour is pretty long. But I have the table work stuff going there too. But I'll teach you that lie down position if you can. You can do it on the floor, but you have to be able to come up. Or if you have a massage table, you have to be able to lay down on that. Do you have any? I guess. Do you want to? Can you see me on the floor so I can show you the lie down position?
Yeah, let me just change my.
Now this lie down position is because your back's hurting and you've been doing a bunch of stuff through the whole day, and then you want to get about a 10-minute lube job. It's going to, all the synovial fluid will rush back into the spine because you've been compressing it all day. And if you lie down in a particular way with some books under your head, everyone's going to have a different size book because according to their postural use, right? A person with this posture is going to have a whole stack of books for me to get their head here in that position lying down. So tell me if you can do the lie down.
Let's see, go ahead. You might need to go back just a little bit more. And we have about 5 minutes, so.
I'm just going to show you because on a bed, you can do the same thing if it's a firm bed. And I have a massage table, but it's not set up.
No worries, you're fine.
Can you see me?
Rachel, mine is in the way. Can you see her? I can't. No, you would actually need to take your laptop and kind of point it to the floor, the lid part. You would have to just point it down some for us. Just the lid part, not the whole laptop.
I'll talk it through.
Okay.
You're going to be on your bed, or if you can get up and down off the floor, you're on your yoga mat or something. You sit on your sit bones first. So you're sitting up like this. Here's the line down. You can see me?
Yes, we can see you.
And then I'm going to bring my legs up as much as I can. Maybe that's going to be here, right?
Right.
And I'm going to just do a gentle lengthening of my spine so I don't let, especially scoliosis, why lie down crooked? So if you're crooked, you have to take your head up here and it will shift over. And so then you're going to use your arms to start at your tailbone, and you're going to just lie down with your knees bent. Okay? You're going to put some soft back books under your head so that your head's not locked down here. And don't put too many books so you're here. And then you're going to just lie down there and put your hands on your belly. You have lengthened your spine, and you're rolling down from here, and then you're hitting the books, and your knees are bent because that puts your back on the ground, on the surface you're lying on. And just take a 10-minute lie down. It takes about 10 minutes for the synovial fluid to rush on into the spine. And then you roll over to your side, and you push yourself up. You're not going to do a sit-up and jerk yourself up. Now, you can do that on a firm bed or a massage table if you have that in your house.
Very good.
And,
nice.
You can you can call me if you're having difficulty.
There you go. You can always reach out to you for any questions or sessions, things like that. So we are just about at the top of the hour. I don't see
good. My batteries here. I forgot to plug into my computer, so
no worries.
It's going. Hi, everybody. Thank you
perfect.
so much.
I don't think I missed any questions. So thank you. We just want to say thank you so much, Rochelle, for your time today. And I hope everyone got some takeaways, and enjoy the rest of your week. And so we'll leave you with our wave, and have a good rest of your day. It's kind of like a Monday, but it's not.
Yes.
So thanks again, Rochelle. Thank you, everyone. Have a really good week.
I don't know how we missed it because it said